My parents call me the machine, while my bartender brother is the life of the party. Now they want me to take out a $70,000 loan for his wedding because you can afford it. I'm done being the family ATM. Posted to r/true off my chest. I'm sitting in my office at 11 p.m., surrounded by research papers about T-cell therapies and immunological responses, and I just got off the phone with my mother. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely type this. I need to get this out somewhere because I feel like I'm losing my mind. I'm a biomedical researcher. I'm 33 years old, and I've spent the last decade of my life working on treatments for autoimmune diseases. I have a PhD. I've published in peer-reviewed journals. I've contributed to research that is, hopefully, going to help people live better lives. I say this not to brag, but because I need someone, anyone, to understand what I'm about to tell you. My parents have never once told me they're proud of me. Not when I graduated summa cum laude. Not when I got into one of the top graduate programs in the country. Not when my name appeared on a paper that got cited in major medical journals. Not once. You know what my mother said when I called to tell her about my PhD defense? She said, "That's nice, honey. Your brother just got promoted to head bartender at Sullivan's. Isn't that wonderful? He's so good with people." My brother Jake is 29. He's worked as a bartender since he dropped out of community college at 20. And I want to be clear here, there is nothing wrong with being a bartender. It's honest work. Jake is apparently very good at it. But here's the thing that has slowly destroyed me over the past 3 decades. To my parents, Jake is the life of the party. He's so charismatic. He lights up every room. He's the one everyone wants to be around. And me, I'm the machine. That's literally what they call me. Not as a compliment. As a statement of fact, like they're describing a household appliance. Oh, Marcus will figure it out, he's the machine. Marcus doesn't need help, he's the machine. Marcus doesn't need encouragement, that's just not how he's wired. I remember being 12 years old, sobbing in my room after being bullied at school, and my father walking in, looking uncomfortable, and saying, "Come on, son. You're the logical one. Just figure out a solution and move on. That's what you do." I was 12. I needed my dad to tell me it would be okay. Instead, I got a reminder that in this family, emotions were for Jake. Logic was for me. Humanity was for Jake. Machinery was for me. I have spent my entire adult life trying to prove that I am more than a problem-solving device. That I have feelings. That I need love and support and recognition just like anyone else. And tonight, I finally realized that to my parents, I will never be anything more than a means to an end. Here's what happened. Jake got engaged 6 months ago to a woman named Rachel. I've met her twice. She seems nice enough, though I noticed she looked uncomfortable when my mother spent an entire dinner talking about how lucky Rachel was to be marrying the most charming man in the city. Tonight, my parents called me. Both of them. On speakerphone. This is unusual. They almost never call me together unless they need something. My mother started with small talk. "How's work?" "Fine, Mom." "How's the weather in Boston?" "Cold, Mom." Then she said, "So, we've been talking about Jake's wedding." I knew immediately something was coming. There was that tone in her voice, the one she uses when she's about to ask for something she knows is unreasonable but has already convinced herself she deserves. "We want it to be really special for him," she continued. "He's our baby, you know. And Rachel's family is quite well off. We don't want them to think we can't provide for our son." I waited. The venue Jake wants is $40,000. And then there's catering, flowers, photography, the band he wants. You know how much he loves live music, and Rachel's dress, the honeymoon. "How much?" I asked, because I could see where this was going. My father's voice came through. "We've done the math. To do this wedding properly, the way Jake deserves, we need about $70,000. $70,000. And we were thinking," my mother said, her voice going soft and sweet, "since you're the one with a good job and the savings, maybe you could help out. Take out a loan or something. You're so good with money, Marcus. You're the machine, you'll figure it out. And Jake deserves to celebrate. He's finally found happiness." I couldn't speak. I literally could not form words. "Marcus," my father prompted. "You there? You want me to take out a $70,000 loan," I said slowly, "to pay for Jake's wedding." "Well, it's not like you're using your money for anything," my mother said, and I could hear the defensiveness creeping in. "You don't go out, you don't travel, you just work all the time. What's the point of having money if you're not going to use it?" I'm saving for a house, I said. I'm paying off my student loans. I'm contributing to my retirement. See, that's exactly what I mean, my mother sighed. Always so practical. Jake knows how to live, Marcus. He knows how to enjoy life. That's why people love him. And his wedding should reflect that. What about Jake's savings? I asked. There was a pause. Then my father said, Jake's not really a saver. You know that. He lives in the moment. It's part of his charm. So he has no money for his own wedding. He has some. Maybe $3,000. But Marcus, come on. You're his brother. You can afford this. You make good money. And honestly, it's the least you can do for this family. The least I can do. I have given this family everything. I paid for my own college. I paid for my own graduate school. When Jake totaled his car at 22, I gave him $5,000 for a new one. When my parents' roof leaked 3 years ago, I wrote them a check for $8,000. When Jake's landlord was going to evict him for unpaid rent, I covered it. Twice. And now they want me to take out a $70,000 loan because my brother deserves to celebrate. No, I said. The silence that followed was deafening. Excuse me, my mother said. No. I'm not taking out a loan to pay for Jake's wedding. If Jake wants a $70,000 wedding, Jake can save for it. Or he can have a wedding he can afford. Marcus, don't be selfish, my father snapped. This is family. This is what family does. Is it? I heard myself say, and suddenly all the things I'd kept bottled up for 33 years started spilling out. Is this what family does? Because I don't remember anyone taking out a loan when I got my PhD. I don't remember a party. I don't remember a card. Jake got a surprise party for making head bartender, and I got a text message that said, "Congrats," with a period at the end when I defended my dissertation. That's different, my mother said quickly. Your PhD was for you. Jake's wedding is for the whole family. My PhD was for you too. I was almost shouting now. I wanted you to be proud of me. I've spent my entire life trying to make you proud, and you've never once. Marcus, calm down. You're being emotional. I laughed. I actually laughed. I'm being emotional? You've spent my entire life telling me I don't have emotions, that I'm a machine, and now when I finally express how I feel, you tell me to calm down. This isn't about you, my father said coldly. This is about your brother. This is about doing the right thing for the family. Now are you going to help or not? No, I said again. I'm not. Then I don't know what to say to you, my mother said, and her voice had gone hard in a way I'd heard many times before. I always knew you were the cold one, Marcus. I just didn't realize you were cruel too. And she hung up. I sat in my office for an hour after that, just staring at my phone. I kept thinking about all the late nights I've spent in this lab, all the weekends, all the missed vacations, all the times I told myself that I was doing something meaningful even if my family didn't understand it. I'm working on research that could help people with lupus, with rheumatoid arthritis, with diseases that destroy lives. I'm trying to make the world a little bit better. And my own family thinks I'm a cold, cruel machine who exists only to fund their favorite son's parties. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to feel. I've always told myself that my parents love me in their own way, that they just don't know how to express it. But tonight I realized something that I've been running for my whole life. They don't see me as a person. They see me as a resource. An ATM with a PhD. I'm not going to take out that loan. I know that much. But I don't know how to move forward from here. I don't know how to have a relationship with people who think my value is measured in what I can give them. If anyone has been through something similar, I'd really appreciate hearing your perspective. I feel very alone right now. Update 1, 2 weeks later. I want to start by thanking everyone who responded to my original post. I read every comment, even the ones that made me cry at my desk. I've never had so many strangers tell me that my feelings were valid, that I had worth beyond what I could produce. It meant more than I can express. A lot has happened since my last post, and I wanted to share it because several people asked me to keep updating. First, my parents. After that phone call, they didn't contact me for 4 days. Then I got a text from my mother that said, "I hope you're happy knowing you're ruining your brother's happiness. I raised you better than this." I didn't respond. Then I got a message from Jake, "Hey man, Mom said you're being weird about the wedding thing. Can you just help out? You know how they are. It'll be easier if you just go along with it." That one hurt more than my parents' message, honestly. Because Jake wasn't angry. He wasn't demanding. He was just casual. Like it was perfectly normal to expect his brother to take out a massive loan for his wedding. Like my role in this family was so established, so obvious, that he didn't even need to justify the request. I wrote back, "I'm not taking out a loan for your wedding, Jake. You need to have a conversation with Mom and Dad about reasonable expectations." He didn't respond. Here's where things took an unexpected turn. At work, I've been reporting to a woman named Dr. Evelyn Okafor for about 3 years now. She's brilliant, one of the most respected immunologists in the field, and she's also one of those people who notices things. She noticed that I'd been distracted. That I was staying later than usual, which is saying something. That I wasn't eating. Last Tuesday, she asked me to stay after our team meeting. I figured she was going to talk about the grant application we're working on. Instead, she closed the door and said, "Marcus, what's going on with you?" I tried to deflect. "Just some family stuff. It's fine." She gave me this look, the same look she gives grad students who try to hand in sloppy work, and said, "It's not fine. You look like you haven't slept in a week, and you nearly put the wrong concentration in the cell cultures this morning. That's not like you." I don't know what happened. Maybe I was just exhausted. Maybe it was the fact that she was looking at me with genuine concern, something I wasn't used to. But I started talking. I told her about my parents, about Jake, about the $70,000 demand. About being the machine my whole life. When I finished, Dr. Okafor was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that I'm still thinking about. "You know, Marcus, I've worked with a lot of brilliant people in my career. Some of them had families who supported them, and some of them had families who consumed them. The ones who survived and thrived were the ones who learned to protect themselves. Not because they didn't love their families, but because they understood that you can't give from an empty cup." She told me about a therapist she knew, someone who specialized in family dynamics and something called family scapegoating. She said she recognized the signs in what I was describing, that my parents had assigned me a role in the family that was fundamentally dehumanizing, and that it was going to take professional help to unpack that. I was skeptical. I've never been to therapy. Growing up, therapy was something my parents viewed with suspicion. "That's for people who can't handle their problems," my father used to say. Which, looking back, is ironic given how many problems he expected me to handle for everyone else. But I made the appointment. Her name is Dr. Linda Reeves, and I've seen her twice now. The first session, I mostly just talked while she listened. She asked me to describe my childhood, my relationship with my parents and Jake, specific incidents that stood out to me. I told her about the time I got a full scholarship to college and my parents threw a party. Not for me, but for Jake, who had just gotten his driver's license. I told her about how my mother used to introduce us to her friends. "This is Jake, he's our charming one, and this is Marcus, he's very smart." Dr. Reeves didn't react much during that first session. But at the end, she said something that I've been turning over in my mind ever since. "Marcus, it sounds like your family created a narrative where Jake was allowed to be human, messy, emotional, imperfect, and you were required to be a function. A tool. And the tragedy of that isn't just that they couldn't see you. It's that you started believing it yourself." I cried the entire drive home. The second session was harder. Dr. Reeves introduced me to the concept of family scapegoating, where one child is designated as the problem, or in my case, the resource, while another is the golden child who can do no wrong. She explained that this dynamic often has nothing to do with the children themselves and everything to do with the parents' own issues, their need for validation, their discomfort with certain emotions, their desire to have one child who reflects their ideal self and another who handles everything they can't. She asked me a question that broke something open in me. "Marcus, when you imagine your parents loving you the way you've always wanted them to, being proud of you, celebrating you, seeing you as a full person, how does that make you feel?" I couldn't answer. Because I couldn't imagine it. I literally could not picture what that would look like. The concept was so foreign that my brain just stalled. That's when I realized how deeply this had affected me. It wasn't just about the $70,000. It was about 33 years of being told, in 1,000 small and large ways, that I wasn't fully human to the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. I'm still processing all of this. Dr. Reeves says that's normal, that this kind of work takes time. She's helped me understand that my feelings of anger and hurt are valid, and that setting boundaries isn't cruelty, it's self-preservation. My parents have continued to send guilt-tripping messages. My mother called twice. I let both calls go to voicemail. In the first one, she sounded sad. "Marcus, I don't understand why you're doing this to us." In the second, she was angry. "Your brother is devastated. I hope you know you're tearing this family apart." But here's the thing. I'm not the one tearing anything apart. I'm just refusing to let myself be used as the tape that holds it together. Jake has been silent since my message. Rachel, his fiancée, sent me a LinkedIn request yesterday, which I found strange. I haven't accepted it yet. I'll update again if anything significant happens. For now, I'm focusing on my work and my therapy sessions. Dr. Reeves says the next few months are going to be challenging as I learn to set boundaries and deal with the family's reaction. But she also says something else that I'm trying to hold on to. Marcus, you deserve to be loved for who you are, not for what you can provide. That's not something you have to earn. It's something you are entitled to, simply by existing. I'm trying to believe her. Update 2, 6 weeks later. It's been a while since my last update, and a lot has happened. I debated whether to share all of this, but so many of you have reached out asking how I'm doing, and honestly, writing these posts has been therapeutic for me. So here's where things stand. Let me start with the confrontation. About 3 weeks after my last post, Jake called me. Not texted, called. This was unusual. Jake almost never calls anyone. He says it's too millennial, which doesn't even make sense, but whatever. I almost didn't answer. But something told me this was going to be different, so I picked up. Hey, Jake said. Can we talk? Like, actually talk. I braced myself for another guilt trip, another request to just help out. But Jake's voice sounded different. Subdued. Almost hesitant. Sure, I said carefully. What's going on? There was a long pause. Then, Rachel's been asking questions. About our family. About how we grew up. And she's pretty upset about some of the stuff she's finding out. What do you mean, finding out? I mean, she's been talking to her therapist about the wedding planning stress, and her therapist asked about family dynamics, and Rachel started really thinking about some stuff. And then she looked you up online. She found your research page, your publications, some articles about your work, and she was like, Jake, why have I never heard about any of this? Why didn't you tell me your brother is working on curing diseases? I didn't know what to say to that. And I was like, I don't know, it's just Marcus being Marcus, you know? He's always been the smart one, it's not a big deal. And she got really quiet and said, Jake, I've known you for 3 years and you've never once talked about your brother's accomplishments. But I've heard 100 stories about your parents being proud of you for things way less significant than what Marcus has done. I felt something shift in my chest. Something painful but also hopeful. Then she asked me about the loan thing, Jake continued. The $70,000. And I told her it was no big deal, that you could afford it, that this is just how our family works. And Marcus. His voice cracked. She looked at me like I was a monster. He was crying. My brother, who I'd never seen cry, not even at our grandmother's funeral, was crying on the phone. She asked me to really think about it. About all the times you helped out financially. About how Mom and Dad talk about you versus how they talk about me. About why I just accepted that you'd pay for my wedding without even questioning it. And then she made me go to couples therapy with her. This was the last thing I expected. Couples therapy? Yeah. Rachel said if we're going to get married, we need to be on the same page about family stuff. And she said, Marcus, she said that from everything she's seen and heard, our parents have been emotionally abusing you our whole lives. And that I've been complicit in it because I benefited from it. I had to sit down. The therapist said the same thing, Jake continued. She called it golden child syndrome, or something like that. She said I was raised to believe I was special and you were just useful. And that I never questioned it because it felt good to be the favorite. But Marcus, that's so messed up. That's so messed up, and I never saw it, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I couldn't speak for a long time. Finally, I said, Jake, I need you to understand something. This isn't about the money. It was never really about the money. It was about feeling like the only reason I mattered to this family was because of what I could do for everyone else. Never for who I am. I know, he said. I know that now. And I want to fix it. I don't know if I can, but I want to try. We talked for 2 hours that night. Longer than we'd talked in years. Maybe ever. He told me about the couples therapy sessions, about how Rachel had made him really examine his relationship with our parents and how that had shaped his view of me. He admitted things I never thought I'd hear him say, that he knew, on some level, that our parents treated me differently. That he liked it because it meant he didn't have to compete with me. That every time I swooped in to fix a problem, it confirmed his belief that I was the capable one who didn't need anything from anyone. But that's a lie, he said. Everyone needs something. I was just too selfish to see that you needed things too. That you needed to be seen. and celebrated, and loved for more than your bank account or your problem-solving skills. By the end of the call, we had agreed to have dinner together, just the two of us, without our parents, to start actually getting to know each other as adults. Update 3, 1 week later, 7 weeks after Update 2. The dinner with Jake happened. It was awkward at first. We've never really had a relationship outside of family gatherings, but it got easier as the night went on. Rachel wasn't there, but she'd clearly been coaching Jake. He asked me questions about my research, my life, my interests. Questions that no one in my family had ever asked before. At one point he said, "I can't believe you're basically trying to cure autoimmune diseases and I've never even asked you about it. What kind of brother does that?" "A brother who was taught not to see me," I said, and I wasn't trying to be cruel. It was just the truth. He nodded. Yeah, that's fair." Meanwhile, my parents had continued their campaign. My mother had moved from guilt to anger to what I can only describe as bewildered rage. She couldn't understand why Jake was turning against them, why he was suddenly questioning the way they'd raised us. My father left me a voicemail that said, "I don't know what kind of poison you've been feeding your brother, but you're tearing this family apart. You were always the difficult one, Marcus. I see now that you'll never change." That voicemail hurt. But Dr. Reeves helped me process it. She pointed out that my parents were experiencing a loss of control. They'd built a family structure that served them, and now that structure was crumbling. Their anger wasn't about me, it was about their own discomfort with being challenged. Then came the confrontation between Jake and our parents. Rachel had encouraged Jake to address the favoritism directly, in a family session facilitated by a therapist. Our parents refused. So Jake did it anyway, at a Sunday dinner at their house. I wasn't there. Jake told me about it afterward. He said he told our parents that he loved them but that he could no longer be silent about the way they treated me. He told them that asking me to take out a $70,000 loan while never acknowledging my accomplishments was cruel. He told them that calling me the machine wasn't a compliment. It was a way of denying my humanity. He told them that he and Rachel were having a modest wedding that they would pay for themselves, and that if our parents wanted to contribute, they could, but no one was asking me for money ever again. My mother cried. My father got angry and told Jake he'd been brainwashed. There was shouting. Eventually, Jake and Rachel left. My parents haven't spoken to either of us since. Update 4, 3 months after original post. I promised I'd update when there was a resolution, and I think we've reached one. Not a perfect one. Not a Hollywood ending. But something real and meaningful. Jake and Rachel got married last Saturday. It was a small ceremony, maybe 40 people, at a historic in about an hour from the city. Rachel's parents helped with some costs, but Jake and Rachel paid for most of it themselves. They'd been saving aggressively since the loan confrontation, cutting back on going out, picking up extra shifts. The venue wasn't fancy. The food was good but not elaborate. Rachel's dress was beautiful but not designer. And it was perfect. I was there, of course. Jake asked me to be his best man, which shocked me. "You're my brother," he said when he asked. "My actual brother. I'm just sorry it took me this long to act like it." The ceremony was emotional for reasons that had nothing to do with the usual wedding tears. When Jake and Rachel exchanged vows, I could see the real work they'd done together. The therapy, the hard conversations, the decision to build a marriage on honesty rather than pretense. Rachel's vows mentioned wanting to be a family that sees each other fully. I knew what she meant. Our parents weren't there. Jake had invited them, but they declined. My mother's exact words were, "I won't celebrate a wedding that treats our family's generosity as abuse." I think she genuinely believes that's what she's standing against, ingratitude, rather than what she's actually doing, which is refusing to acknowledge the pain her favoritism caused. But here's the thing. Their absence didn't ruin the day. If anything, it clarified things. Jake and Rachel were surrounded by people who loved them for who they are, not for what role they played in a family narrative. Then came Jake's speech. I knew he was going to say something to me. He'd hinted at it. But I wasn't prepared for what he actually said. He stood up at the reception, glass in hand, and thanked everyone for coming. He thanked Rachel's parents for welcoming him into their family. He thanked Rachel for showing me what real partnership looks like. Then he turned to me. "I need to say something to my brother," he began, and his voice was already wavering. "Marcus, I spent most of my life being the favored son, the golden child, and I never questioned it. I never asked why Mom and Dad celebrated every small thing I did while they ignored the incredible things you accomplished. I never asked why you were expected to solve every problem, fund every crisis, but never got to have your own needs met. I just accepted that this was how our family worked. Because it worked for me. He paused, composing himself. But it didn't work for you. And for years, decades, you showed up anyway. You helped anyway. You loved us anyway. Even though we treated you like the family bank instead of family. I was crying. I couldn't help it. The people at my table were pretending not to notice. I'm standing here today, Jake continued, because a few months ago, you finally said no. You refused to take out a loan to pay for my wedding. And at first, I didn't understand. I thought you were being difficult. But then Rachel, my incredible wife, made me really look at our family. At how we treated you. At how I treated you. And I realized that your no wasn't about money. It was about dignity. It was about saying, I'm a person, not a resource. And I deserve to be treated like one. He raised his glass toward me. Marcus, you were right. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being the favored son who never questioned why my brother was treated like the family bank instead of family. I'm sorry it took me 29 years to see you, really see you, as the amazing person you are. You're not a machine. You're my brother. You're a scientist working to make the world better. And I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you. The room applauded. I couldn't see through my tears. Jake came over and hugged me, really hugged me, for the first time I could remember. I love you, man, he said into my ear. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making up for lost time. Where things stand now. Jake and I have dinner together at least once a month now. Sometimes Rachel joins, sometimes it's just us. We're learning to be brothers in a way we never were before. He asks about my research, genuinely interested. I tell him about the grant we just received, the preliminary results that look promising, the students I'm mentoring. He tells me about his job, his plans with Rachel, the cooking class they're taking together. We're building something real. Late but real. My parents remain distant. My mother sent me a birthday card last month. Just a card, no call, that said, thinking of you. I'm choosing to see that as progress, however small. Dr. Reeves says I shouldn't expect dramatic change from them, that people who've operated in denial for decades rarely have sudden awakenings. But she also says that I don't need their validation to live a full life. I'm working on believing that. My work is going well. Dr. Okafor recommended me for a position on a major collaborative research project. I'll be leading a team studying targeted immunotherapies. It's the biggest opportunity of my career, and when I told Jake about it, he insisted on taking me out to celebrate. That's incredible, he kept saying. Do you know how incredible that is? No one in my family had ever said that to me before. It felt foreign. It felt wonderful. I'm still in therapy. Dr. Reeves says I probably will be for a while, and that's okay. We're working through years of believing I wasn't fully human, that my value was purely transactional. Some days are harder than others. But I'm making progress. To everyone who followed this story, who sent messages of support, who shared their own experiences with family scapegoating, thank you. You helped me see that I wasn't alone. That my feelings were valid. That I deserved better. And here's what I've learned, in case it helps anyone else going through something similar. Sometimes the first step toward healing isn't getting the people who hurt you to change. It's deciding that you're worth protecting, even if they never see it. It's setting a boundary and holding it, even when everyone calls you selfish. It's learning to see yourself as a full human being, worthy of love and celebration, even if the people who raised you never taught you that. You're not a machine. You're not an ATM. You're not a solution to other people's problems. You're a person. And that's enough. It was always enough. Final note, for those who asked about the research I mentioned, yes, the work continues. We're making progress on understanding how certain autoimmune responses can be modulated without suppressing the entire immune system. It's slow work, but meaningful. Every day, I go into that lab knowing that what I do might someday help someone live a better life. And now, I'm also living a better life myself. Not perfect. Not without pain. But better. Fuller. More human. That's enough for me.